Now, one of the biggest protests that happened in recent times was the Sabrimala protest, where women were not allowed. I mean, young women were not allowed, and that was the biggest protest. Even that was, we headed it and we led it in a very peaceful fashion with that's what we wanted, okay? But of course, there will always be people who have different levels of temperaments who come together. So we always are against violence. We don't want that. But all I'm saying, let me please clarify. All I'm saying is that we are so provoked today. We are so touchy right now, and rightfully so for the right reason. That if there is a community or if there is a set of people who uses such words out of the outrage, it cannot be seen as they're going to do that tomorrow. It is an outburst of their rage, and that should be seen in that sense. I'm just saying it doesn't mean that you go out and have a bloodshed out there. It means, they're just expressing their anger. Now, I have a good point to say that, this woman's film entirely, the documentary, it should be banned, it should be boycotted. We should just throw rotten tomatoes at it. I feel like being violent myself, but that doesn't mean I'm actually going to do that. It only means
Deepa, the problem is you have better sense. There are other people who get provoked and act. Now, who will be responsible or answerable for that?
The problem here, Ms. Deepa, is not you. You have all the right in the country to feel provoked, to feel outraged, to say whatever you want to. In fact, the best response to free speech is actually free speech. But we are talking about this particular person here who actually incites violence and says that, okay, I am going to behead the filmmaker. That is where we draw a line. And that is what we say that it's not okay. Coming to your constant comment that we've been peaceful. Actually, if we look at the data from past couple of years, whether we have seen deaths because somebody committed blasphemy and the person was in turn murdered, whether the Amravati killing or so many lynchings. Unfortunately, I'm not very sure if any religious community, any person from any particular state, any linguistic, any regional community can claim to be peaceful anymore. Okay. So we have actually seen deaths and murderers come from all community, and instead of constantly shouting our people, we need to stand up and say, okay, enough is enough.
I want to bring in Mr. Vikram Singh, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, security expert also. Mr. Vikram Singh, good evening. The law is equal for all, but the worry here is that simply enough isn't being done to tackle these kind of issues of provocative statements being made. That's where it starts, that's the seed, and that's what resorts endlessly to violence.
Akshita, good evening, and good evening to all fellow panelists. Raju ji, pranam. What I would say, that being the oldest man in the panel, I would say, let us get over this mass hysteria and retain our sanity once and for all. And the loose cannons and the motor mouths have always been, but never was there an opportunity for the loose cannons and the motor mouths to get this undeserved publicity. Politicians, actors, actresses, and nobodies who had absolutely no place in society, taking the shortcut and short-circuiting their so-called gateway to success and fame. Well, this is totally uncalled for. Now coming down to robust policing. My strong recommendation to all states would be to identify all the hatemongers, all the hysteria of all communities, put them into fast-track courts and decide their matters in 30 days. Prosecute them under 116, 103, 151 of the CRPC. First put them behind bars for a week and let the cases come down and be decided, and the harshest possible penalty. Nobody has a right to stigmatize or use loose sentences or derogatory words and sentiments in respect of the Prophet, in respect of gods and goddesses, whoever is held holy by any faith. This is non-negotiable. And what is non-negotiable, let it make no mistake about it, the state and the police have a duty. Let them be put across to fast-track courts and given not retributive, but exemplary punishment promptly. Certainty of punishment is the biggest deterrent to crime. In spite of that, there may be certain people who may have some kind of a bravado who may continue, but then there would be a stronger dose of medicine for the die-hard perverts. And that is where I have never felt helpless. I have seen what, and I know what I'm talking about. If the might of the law will come down like a ton of bricks, rest assured, all this nonsense will die down.